Lewan. We're tracking this storm system, and Jeremy, as we mentioned before, it's underperforming. It doesn't mean that it's not problematic. It is.
Right.
But we're not where we should be as far as snowfall totals.
Well, we are going to be within our range that we had predicted. We said 4 to 8 inches for a lot of the region. We're just going to be at the lower end of that range because we are seeing a dry slot start to work its way into the storm. And when we say dry slot, I know that's a scientific jargon lingo, but a dry slot means that the snow squalls, or these bands of snow, there's some drier air working its way into them. So you're not seeing as much of those bands actually pushing into the region, and instead there's a little bit of an intrusion of dry air into those bands. And we're seeing that happen currently in central Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. We were just talking about Williamsport. We were looking at footage. Let's go ahead and jump to the boards, and we'll show you here what it is we're talking about. There it is, storm system. Look at out west, Jeremy, western Pennsylvania.
Yep,
Places like
there's that dry
area.
slot.
Yeah, I mean, it's really shutting down there pretty quickly. And we're going to be looking at, again, some more snow over eastern Pennsylvania. And we may even be talking about potential for a wintry mix moving as far north as the Wyoming Valley. So go ahead, Jeremy. You can mark that, the dry slot.
Yep. So you can see there the indication of drier air working its way into the back end of that low pressure. But the center of rotation, Kurt, if you could outline that for everyone too.
This storm is actually tracking a bit more to the
north and west.
Yeah, here. So, and it's moving in this direction here. So,
and all models had indicated that the low at this point in the evening would either be over the Chesapeake or down right near the Atlantic City area of New Jersey. So because of that, we're seeing the rain snow line push into portions of the area even more north than originally indicated, and also that dry slot working its way into the back end of the storm.
So there's your mix line, and that's what's pushing north. That may, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on central Pennsylvania because we're already seeing that here. Jeremy, Milton, Lewisburg, Sunbury. This is going to cut down on some of the totals. As I mentioned before, Lewisburg, Linda Smith told us 2.8 inches of snow. It was still snowing at that point. So I think they will get into that 3-4 inch, the bottom of our scale here that we talked about. But if we back it out, Jeremy, things are shutting down very quickly out here in central Pennsylvania.
And what I think I really want to point out too is if you look in between the mix, so the mix is that pink shade, take a look at some of the heavy downpours occurring in between the mix and the snow. So that will really end up washing away a lot of the snow that's already accumulated in those regions.
Absolutely. Bigger picture once again, but notice the northeast, and this is where we were talking about. This is where we expect our highest totals to be, right along in here, okay? Putting that, the infamous fish hook that we talked about before, but that doesn't mean that parts of the Wyoming Valley and even Susquehanna Valley aren't going to be dealing with enough snow to shovel and plow. You will, and that'll be the case through the night tonight and tomorrow morning. We're going to have another round of those showers coming through. I just want to zoom in quick. So here's your mix line. There's Bloomsburg. We talked about Bloomsburg seeing that mix line. And then you come up here to the north. This is all snow, Jeremy.
Right, all snow, and we're going to continue to see that snow as we go through the next few hours. It's not going to shut off anytime soon. I do think that these are where we're going to see, just like Kurt had said, our highest totals because we have the longest duration of the snow showers and the heaviest snow showers in those regions, especially since there's higher elevations too, right? So if you have higher elevations, you have orographic lift that can cause those clouds to end up squeezing out more moisture right before they end up going over those mountains.
Yep. Now, this particular future radar model that we have here is the NAM, North American model, and this one has a little bit more snow into the evening hours. There are other models that we have that actually have this shutting down and not carrying over like that. So, but again, I still think this range that we're talking about, 4 to 8.
And we've been showing this map now for several days, since Thursday.
Yep. So we've got 4 to 8 Wyoming Valley, 4 to 8 Susquehanna Valley, and there's that 5 to 10 which you were just talking about, Jeremy, and that's where it's going to stay, mostly snow. But then you get out to places, say, like Jersey Shore, Lock Haven. That's where we're going to be on the lowest end.
Because they're creeping into that dry slot.
Right. Lewisburg, as we mentioned, just closing in on 3 inches of snow. That is underperforming there as well. They should have been closer to 5 at this point. So still enough snow to shovel and plow. And
still enough snow to cause very big problems for travel on the roads.
Absolutely.
So hopefully you do stay off the roads tonight. There will be major travel delays, and the roads will be slick. You don't want to end up going out in them. If you don't have to, it would be best to stay home.
I drove in today at 4 o'clock. It took me what would normally be 15 minutes. It took me 30 minutes because and the roads were slick, even though at that time there was only an inch of snow on the ground. So now I think you just measured, we had what, just around 2?
2.5.
Two,
Yep.
2.5. So,
And I know it was the similar story for a lot of the committee members here at WNEP. Courtney Harrison had troubles getting in. Chelsea had trouble getting in. So I know I came in well before the storm started. So I've been here making graphics since noon.
Right.
So that was right before the snow actually started accumulating on the ground. But everybody else who's come into the station so far has said they've either witnessed accidents or have slid on the roads themselves. So we're hoping that you do take our advice, heed our advice, and do stay home if you can. All right, here are all our snowstorm details. As we've said all week, the snow would be here on the evening of Saturday, and here it is. It's already falling. It's ramping up now, especially in eastern Pennsylvania. Snowfall totals will be anywhere from 4 to 8 inches for central and eastern Pennsylvania, but we've been really honing it in on that lower end of the range, maybe 4 to 5 inches there in eastern Pennsylvania, especially down through the Susquehanna Valley, too, because that's where we're already seeing some of that mixing going on.
and when you talk about 4 or 5 inches of snow, you're still talking about a half foot of snow.
Right.
So it's not just nothing to, joke about. I mean, it's going to take plow trucks. It's going to take, to get rid of that stuff.
Absolutely. So the heaviest snow will end around midnight. And as you see that snow continue to come down through the northern tier, also into the Poconos, that's where we're going to see our highest accumulations. And just because it ends at midnight doesn't mean that the entire snowstorm is over. More snow showers are going to happen on Sunday morning. And we're talking anywhere from about 6 a.m. to maybe around noontime, where we could see some filling in of those snow showers across the region. They're not going to be as heavy and as steady as what we saw this evening, but we will see some snow showers that may put down an additional inch or so in a lot of our region. So this is showing around 11:30 at night, already starting to clear up there in central Pennsylvania, but we will see additional snow showers in our northern tier, also down through the southern tier, where that mixing ends up stopping through the morning hours tomorrow, because we're pulling in now some western air, northwestern air, which is going to cool it off enough so that we don't see any mixing. We just see that snow.
And the other thing I want to mention too, in case you were trying to stream us earlier, there were some issues going on, so people weren't able to stream us because we weren't on WNEP because of the sports that we have going on. So if you were trying to stream us a little earlier, we're going to have the 10 o'clock weather put on that service, so you'll be able to see the 10 o'clock weather. And
that's on the app. Right?
Correct.
Great.
Correct.
So if you try to use our WNEP app, we talk about it all the time on our commercials. You'll be able to tune in to the 10 o'clock newscast. I'll be on it, making sure you have your latest details on snowfall totals and what we're expecting as we go through the rest of the evening hours.
Let's jump back to the boards if we can, please. And I just want to show you real quick, because it's really winding down in central Pennsylvania, but that's not the case over eastern Pennsylvania. It's still coming down at a pretty good clip. One thing I want to mention, can we back up those future winds, Jeremy? Can we back that up to, there you go, Saturday, 7 o'clock. Those winds are going to be picking up. So we're going to have blowing and drifting snow, meaning many of the areas where the roads were only got, say, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow were plowed. Then you're going to have blowing and drifting snow, and they're covered again.
Yep.
So you got to give them time to get things cleared up. That wind's going to be an issue, not only for us tonight, but as you were talking about, for Tuesday, Wednesday as well.
Right. So we have another system pushing into the region, and this one's completely different from the system that we're tracking tonight. This system pushes in by Tuesday evening, and we're talking starting with snow and then switching over to a wintry mix for a very short period of time, and then heavy rain through the overnight hours Tuesday into Wednesday. And all the models are in agreement that we're going to see some pretty moderate to heavy downpours Tuesday night through Wednesday, very early in the morning. And what concerns us as meteorologists is that with the additional rain that we'll see on Tuesday night into Wednesday, plus the snow from today, we'll have melting snow. We'll have maybe 1 to 2 inches of rain on top of that snow. And then we end up having flooding possibilities because we have an influx of rain and snow, melting snow into our region. So we're worried about not just flooding, but also the possibility of high winds. So it's almost like a 1, 2, 3 punch. Right.
But the good thing is, because we're going to be, looks like on the lower end of our scale as far as snowfall totals, that helps when we start talking with the rain coming.
Right.
Less snow means less runoff, less melt.
In the Poconos, though, that might be where we're going to see the most amount of flooding, especially with the mountainous terrain and the rushing of rivers down mountains. It could cause maybe...
And I just want to say, we're not saying that there will be flooding.
Right.
We're just saying that
there exists the potential for it.
For that, yes. And we're going to certainly keep an eye on that for sure. So we are going to wrap things up here. That's the next system on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Wanted to just show you a
Yeah,
few of
let's
those
just do
winds. This is sustained winds, 22 miles per hour there in Wilkes-Barre, 23 in Wellsboro. This is Tuesday evening through Tuesday into the overnight on the early morning hours of Wednesday, and those are just the sustained gusts, the sustained winds. We could see
Sustained winds,
gusts
not gusts,
up to
correct.
30
Yep.
or even 40 miles per hour.
Yes, and let's go ahead and give them the recap on the storm here.
Yep.
We appreciate you tuning in and joining us here. Here's your recap. Snow, it's here, as you know, already falling. It's going to ramp up just a little bit, maybe over the next hour or two, but then a dry slot's going to work in here later this evening, and that's going to shut at least the heavy snow down. I think there'll be light snow for a time. Snowfall totals 4 to 8, and again, it looks like Susquehanna Valley and the Wyoming Valley will likely be on the lower end of that. However, as we mentioned, still 4 or 5 inches of snow. It's almost a half foot of snow, and that's a lot to move. And then the Poconos, we've got that 5 to 10 inches. We're still staying with that, as we mentioned before. The heaviest snow ends closer to midnight, and then we'll have some more snow showers tomorrow morning.
Right, so we're talking Sunday morning between maybe 5 a.m. and 11 a.m. We could see an additional burst of snow as that low pressure pushes off the coast and then brings in some northwesterly air. Still enough moisture to work with in the atmosphere to spark some snow showers across the region. We could see an additional maybe ½ inch to even an inch, maybe an inch and a half of snow, in addition to what we've already picked up tonight with the heaviest snow before midnight.
So we want everybody to be safe. That's why we're doing these updates. And we want you to know that, even though some of these snowfall totals are on the lower end of our scale, the roads are very slick, and we want you to be safe out there. And most importantly, stay tuned right here to WNEP. We'll be on WNEP2 at 10 o'clock. Jeremy will be there.
And on our app,
And
WNEP.
on the app, that's right. So have a great night, folks.